Hello guys, today I decided to make an Omni guide. In this video, I will focus more on the Omni's basic traits and mechanics that I believe are crucial rather than how to hunt a specific dinos. If you guys are interested in more of a detailed video about hunting strategies as an Omni, please feel free to let me know in the comments. Before we start, a disclaimer. I'm not a good Omni player, however, I still believe that I can provide valuable knowledge and share hidden mechanics that I haven't seen mentioned anywhere really. And I believe that these mechanics, if used correctly, could help both beginners and more advanced Omni players to improve their gameplay and even turn Omni possibly one of the top predators. So enough talking and let's get into it. Here is the overall breakdown of the guide, so feel free to skip to the specific section that interests you the most. I'll start with the basic stats of the Omnis, go over the basic controls, and then move to the more advanced, exciting Pounce mechanic and the hidden features. Starting off with the basic stats. Omniraptor is one of the smallest carnivores in the game, taking only around 2.5 hours to fully grow it, depending on your growth rate. With a group size of 8, making it quite formidable group to run into when not cautious, and if they are well coordinated despite its quite fragile build. Their playstyle are heavily involved around the in-game bleed mechanic, as I call hit and run, as their attacks and ability cause large amount of bleed, to the point that where most of the fights when fought with a large predators or prey end up of them bleeding out rather than dying from raw damage. Also due to the fact that their bite force is one of the lowest, taking almost forever to try to take down any dino that's big. One of the biggest strengths that separates Omniraptor compared to other dinosaurs is speed and mobility. Specifically its turn radius, being one of the tightest in the game, allowing them to avoid and maneuver around their prey really quickly, giving it massive advantage. It also has the ability to jump really high, which many dinosaurs in the current roster do not possess, giving it plenty of ways to avoid certain attacks while building up the bleed on its prey, as you will be able to avoid attacks from the other dinos by simply jumping, even if they are right next to you, or just simply jumping onto rocks where they cannot reach you. Starting off with the basic attacks. Every dinosaur possesses left click basic bite, but each of them have different animation, bite force and bite speed, with Omni possessing quite slow bite speed compared to the other dinosaurs such as Dino and Cerrado. Therefore missing your bites are more detrimental compared to the others. Omni's left click does very small amount of damage with bleed, thus trying to take down a bigger opponent is quite challenging with damage itself alone. Lastly, Omnis can use left click attack while they're even jumping. Moving on to the ult attack. The ult attack is a specially enhanced version of the normal attack that does more damage in return of you being more vulnerable and costing some stamina, as you have to stand still in order to use it. But it also gives you the ability to strike backwards or in the direction you are looking at, as normal attacks only hit whatever it's in front of it. The ult attacks tend to differ for each dinosaur, but in case of Omni, its ult attack launches it slightly forward. When it comes to my personal experience, I rarely run into situations where I get to really use it, as its risk compared to the reward ratio, doing a little bit of extra damage doesn't seem that worth to me, not to mention it drains your valuable stamina as well, which we'll get into it later. All that said, the ult attack is not actually completely useless though, as I found a really neat way to implement it seamlessly with your quick movement. While messing around, I was able to find that with a correct timing and input, you can implement your alt bite during your running without losing almost any speed or mobility. It's not the easiest to pull off right off the bat, but I believe with a correct implementation it could make a significant difference when mastered. As you guys can see, I am able to apply it without losing any speed while being able to continue to run seamlessly after the alt attack. Lastly, similarly to the left click, there is a special alt attack for jumping, the claw attack. But for this attack to work, it needs more than jumping and holding Alt and attack. As for it to work, you need to jump and look down and hold Alt and then attack for it to properly to be applied. It does work even without the Alt by just simply looking down, but I found that when using the Alt, the special attack is triggered even when not looking fully down, making it more reliable. In my opinion, this attack is quite unreliable, as even if it's properly executed, its stamina consumption compared to the damage and bleed you apply is not the best. But despite that said, there is one really good way to implement it. As mentioned earlier, you can avoid attacks by jumping, and here is where I found the most use. While you're jumping to dodge the incoming attack, you can at the same time retaliate with a special Alt attack, doing some damage and extra bleed in return, as it does not slow you down any differently than if you had just landed normally without it. Moving on to the Pounce and Grapple. Now we are moving to the more interesting part, the bread and butter of the Omnis, the Pounce. The Pounce is a unique ability to Omnis where it allows them to jump and grapple on its target, making them untargetable by the dino it latched on in exchange of decent amount of stamina being drained, initially dealing small amount of damage and bleed on landing. But that does not mean it's invincible, as other dinos can still hit them or they can be knocked down by some trees. An important note to take is that walls do not count as obstacles and won't drop the Omni down. Furthermore, while pouncing, Omni stamina will start to quickly drain, and when fully depleted, the grappled Omni will fall by itself on the ground, stunning it for a small duration, but enough for it to be fatal. After Omni managed to successfully pounce its prey, it can either decide to relocate by pressing A or D on the keyboard to move, allowing them to strategically position themselves in an exchange of stamina, making it easier for other Omnis to pounce or to simply avoid getting knocked down. When pouncing, it is essential to do yourself a favor and position yourself on the top of the dinosaur, as it would allow not just other Omnis to jump on the prey, but also saving you from others accidentally pouncing you and killing you both. Now back to the basics. When grappled, Omnis have two types of damage. First being the raw damage focus, and second being bleed focus. This can be decided by either holding left or right mouse button, the left one focusing more on the damage and the right one focusing more on applying the bleed. You can tell the difference by the animation, as holding the left button Omni would do bite animation, while holding the left one it would use its claws. Except the different type of damage, the stamina consumption also varies. The left damage one draining less stamina compared to the right click bleed. As you guys can see, the one Omni is using damage while the other is using the bleed. In order to unmount, simply pressing spacebar, it will launch the Omni away from its prey to the direction it was pouncing from. Pounce mechanic and its hidden features. The Omni Pounce has one of the more complicated mechanics due to its design, one of them being the ability to pin down dinosaurs of all sizes depending on few conditions, making its prey completely unable to fight back. While pinning, Omni will do large amount of damage along with bleed, with its stamina constantly draining as well. Here are all the basic conditions in order to pin, being weight, stamina, and bleed. Starting with the weight, simply Omni can pin anything that is either smaller or the same size as them, giving them a straightforward winning condition when landed. But that does not mean Omnis are limited to only prey that are same or smaller. as multiple Omnis can jump on a single large prey, combining each Omni's weight together, allowing them to take down even the largest species. Allowing, for example, 4 Omnis to pin down even a Tenno that is significantly larger and heavier. But does that mean that Omnis can't take down larger species such as Dibble and Stego, as their weight is so much higher as maximum number of Omnis that they can pounce out around 6? And the answer is no, that is not correct. Which brings me to the second condition, being the stamina. Stamina also plays a significant role. Similarly to weight, the more stamina the Omnis have compared to its prey, and the less stamina its prey possesses, Omnis can even pin down even the largest species into the ground without the need of a great number. For example, in order to take down a Tenno with full stamina, it would require up to 4 Omnis to pounce it to pin it. But if the Tenno would be low on stamina, such as under 20% or more, less number Omnis are required. In this case, only 3, and sometimes up to 2. Meaning, the less stamina the prey has, and the more stamina we possess, the number of Omnis that are required to pin down the prey decreases drastically. Here is another example with a Dibble, where 5 Omnis cannot pin it down. But if the Dibble is lower than 20% of its stamina, it only takes 2 Omnis to put it on the ground. Now, moving on to the third condition, bleed. Bleed, similar to stamina, functions the same way. The lower their blood is, the less number of Omnis are required to pounce and pin, making it a crucial factor, as trying to reduce stamina of a herbivore is quite unreliable if they possess tactile endurance mutation, making it almost impossible, as you would run out of stamina before them. But bleed as a condition is actually forcible upon the prey. Here you guys can see how in order to pin down a Carno, 3 Omnis are required. But with a Carno blood being around 30%, it only takes 2 Omnis to pin it down, similarly as stamina. And now some of you might be wondering, can those 3 factors stack? Well, the answer is yes and no. Weight stacks with stamina or bleed interchangeably, meaning it goes always weight plus stamina or weight plus bleed, only taking into account the lowest as priority but never combining between the bleed and stamina. Meaning that the game will always prioritize the lowest condition out of the bleed and stam, but not combined together. As during our testings, there was no difference between low stam prey and low stam and bleed prey, as they both required the same number of Omnis in order to pin them down. Now, moving to the hidden mechanic. So I am not sure if it was mentioned anywhere else, but I was able to find a hidden mechanic that reduces the pounce stamina consumptions over around 50%, allowing you to stay on top of the prey significantly longer compared to the traditional method. The hidden feature being what I call rapid pouncing. The pounce mechanic itself is very simple, as it only requires one difference compared to the normal pounce. That being, simply after landing a pounce, instead of holding either your left or right mouse button, the mechanic requires you to rapidly spam the left or right mouse button. And the faster you click, the less stamina it seems to drain, capping at some point, so please don't break your mouse. Here you guys can see side by side how one is without rapid clicking and the other is. As you guys can see, there is a quite significant difference. But unfortunately, the pound doesn't come without any drawbacks, as rapid clicking pound does not deal any notable damage to its prey, except the one that is inflicted with the initial pounce, meaning that despite you being able to stay on the prey longer, it won't do any damage or bleed to its prey. And now you guys might be asking, then what's the use of it? Well, the mechanic is quite useless when playing alone, but with a pack it provides a strategic advantage to the Omnis by simply being attached to the prey longer. As by being able to stay longer on the prey, it would provide enough time for your packmates to join you, allowing you to stay on them until the required number of the Omnis are met in order to pin it down. As what I noticed that happens a lot is that many people start panicking trying to pounce the prey as soon as possible before their friends run out of stamina, that they end up accidentally pouncing each other. But with the use of this mechanic, it would give allies more time to take things slowly to execute the clean pounce. Furthermore, when Omni is pouncing someone, it slows the prey's movement speed depending on how many an individual weight. This allowing your packmates to pound even easier, as they would be much slower, making it harder for them to move. And once the number of Omni that is required to pounce is met, they could simply let it pin, executing its prey with barrage of damage at once that they cannot escape from, instead of trying to slowly build up damage, putting the prey into a panic state as they would start losing so much HP at once and potentially even killing it. I am fully aware that the last mechanic might not be seen as the most useful to some, but me and my group, we found a lot of success with this mechanic simply being available, as there were some situations where the mechanic made a significant difference to our team coordination and fight in general. But that would be it for me when it comes to the guide. I hope you guys were able to learn something new about the Omni, as the Isles likes a proper guide and nobody really doesn't seem to know exactly what really works and doesn't. That's why I decided to make this guide, especially for those that are new to the game, as I went through the struggle as well. Lastly guys, I also have a Discord server and Twitch, so if you guys would like to be in one of my videos or Twitch stream in the future or play with everyone some Isles, feel free to join, as everyone is welcome. Here is a special thank you to everyone who are supporting me and helped me make the video, and thank you everyone for the 1000 subs. It means a lot and I wouldn't have been able to reach this point without you guys. Hope to see you guys in my next video. See ya.